Hey guys, welcome to Midlands Metal Mayhem. This comes from a Facebook group that I've been running for about 5 years. The reason I did that group was because I got back into the metal scene, going to gigs and stuff like that. Obviously I've always listened to metal, but got back into the metal scene, going to gigs and stuff like that about 2012. I went to see Black Sabbath at Download and had an absolute blast with my son, and then started going to local gigs and sort of checking out what other bands were on. Because I've always believed in the Midlands metal scene, I've always followed bands like Priest and Sabbath and Diamond Head and Bolt Thrower and all those kind of bands. I got curious as to what new bands were coming up in our local area from, a scene that's got a great heritage of metal that goes back to 1969. So I started going to local venues in Derby, Nottingham, sometimes down to Birmingham, maybe Wolverhampton, somewhere like that, and checking out bands, and I started finding all these absolutely fucking blasting bands that just blew me away. The first two or three of those were Devastator from Derby, black thrash band, unbelievably good, and then alongside that, probably at the same festival in Derby, I saw Pemphigoid, death metal from Mansfield, another absolutely fantastic band, and I've followed these bands ever since. Another band that I'd name in that lot was who I got into at the same time. This is probably 4 or 5 years ago. Beyond Your Design from Derby, another excellent sort of metalcore thrash with death in there, quite a lot of different stuff in their sound. And all those bands, I've been going to see them ever since, and alongside going to see those bands, I've seen obviously hundreds of other bands and just been blown. I was blown away. I'm still blown away by just how much talent there is out there on the scene and just how much great music there is. So alongside those bands that I've picked up in the intervening years is a band from Nottingham called Those Once Loyal, hardcore, bit thrashy, but mainly a hardcore band. Who, the quality of their songwriting is just off the scale, and it just really made me think that nowadays it's very, very hard for bands to get their music heard. It's easy to get it out there, much easier than it used to be, but the scene is so crammed, and social media and everything is just chock-a-block and overflowing with metal music, with bands with good metal music as well. So the reason for Midlands Metal Mayhem in its various forms was just to promote and support those bands that I was seeing that were certainly not at that time known on a national scale even, and were probably just known a little bit about in the Midlands. And you get to know the bands the more you go to see them, obviously, and I could see just how much hard work and passion and artistry goes into what these guys do. Not just the bands I've mentioned, pretty much every band that I've seen, and just getting that real vision for what it was, how much these guys put into what they do, and how much work there is behind the scenes, and then on top of that, the quality of the music and what they do. As a fan, it just really reinvigorated and brought back to me all those feelings and joys that I got as a younger person going to metal gigs back in the late 70s and 1980s, and just really opened up my life to so much that was good, and has brought me many friends and a great deal of enjoyment. Anyway, that's what Midlands Metal Mayhem is all about, and that's kind of how it started. But the reason for doing this video is to try and maybe move on a little bit with what I've been doing on Facebook and create a little bit of content. I'm not sure how good I will be at that. I mean, you can see from this that I'm not working from a script or anything. This is all just what I think, and I don't aim to work from a script. That's not what anything I would do would be about in this scene. This is all about, well, heavy metal is fucking ace. Heavy metal from the Midlands is fucking ace. And where I live in the Midlands, I just feel we've got so much awesome heritage around us, and it's just like shouting that out. But you know, not just for the awesome big bands like Sabbath and Judas Priest. They don't need any of that, obviously. But just to say that metal music from the Midlands is alive and kicking, and it is producing classic music like it always has done. It's just harder for that to get heard on the scene. So this week on the Facebook group, we always have like a band of the week and an album of the week. So our album of the week this week is this absolutely blinding debut from Devastator. It's called Baptized in Blasphemy, and Thomas will be very pleased that I got the title of that right for a change, because I'm always calling it something else. I don't know why. It's like one of my favourite albums, and I struggle to get the title right sometimes. Who knows why that is? I haven't got a clue. It's just my stupidity, basically. But what an awesome album. That kicks off with Howling Night, which is like a sort of black thrash, new wave of British heavy metal hybrid from both genres. Everything that this track puts together on this album is an absolute kick-ass start, and it is a classic track. It also features other fantastic tracks like Send 'Em to Hell, Death Slut. My personal favourite track, one of my favourite tracks that I've heard in the last few years, is an absolutely killer song called Spiritual Warfare. And if you haven't heard that track, seriously, just get on YouTube, Bandcamp, whatever, and listen to it. It's called Spiritual Warfare. A blinding track from the start, great riffs, great lyrics, everything, great performance. But when it absolutely kicks into the last 3 minutes, it is absolutely sublime. So the guys know what I think about this album. Love it to bits, as do pretty much all the other people I know that have heard it. So just superb. So Baptized in Blasphemy by Devastator. Right title. If you don't know it, get it. That's been our album of the week this week. Next week we'll have another one, and you know, maybe I will do another video and upload it to YouTube and chat a little bit about that one. Band of the week has been Black Sabbath. I'm not going to say anything about Black Sabbath. Why? What can I say? Oh, apart from I do have another Facebook group called Geezer Butler Fans National Acrobats, and it's all about the genius that is Geezer Butler. Partly because I just love Geezer's lyrics, particularly from the first 8 Sabbath albums, obviously. I mean, that era, nobody was in metal was matching Geezer's lyrics at all. Just unbelievable. And the song National Acrobat is maybe my favourite song of all time. It's hard to say, but that's the song that stuck with me, hence the title of the group. So, you know, if you like Black Sabbath, there's a million Black Sabbath groups out there that will post, you know, all the general stuff about Sabbath and lots of pics and stuff like that. Absolutely great. But if you are interested in going a little bit deeper into maybe Geezer's role in the band, not just lyrics, bass, everything about Geezer, Sabbath, and Geezer's other bands like Geezer and Geezer Butler Band and Deadland Ritual and all of that, then you know all that stuff's incorporated. That group's been going about 2 years now. It's growing bigger, and I love doing that group. You know, the response in that group is awesome. I love doing Midlands Metal Mayhem. I'd probably like it to be a little bit more have a little bit more input from a broader range of bands, because I've got my personal favourite bands and I'm always pushing them and promoting them on it. And you think sometimes people must get sick of the sight of my name sharing those bands, and I try to like share other bands, but at the end of the day, you're always going to go with we want you to know what you love, what you've kind of grown with over the last few years, and what's really impressed you. And right now I've got a core of local bands that I love and I follow, and I'll keep doing that as long as I can. But what I really want at the moment in the local scene is to discover more new younger bands that I don't know, just like I did like 4 or 5 years ago, and have kept with that wave of bands. I'm kind of hoping for a new wave of bands that are going to smash me in the face and make me bang my head. My head banging's a bit slow motion because I'm not as young as I was, so I see myself in videos headbanging away, and it looks like slow motion, and it's like the slow motion isn't on. So it is what it is. You just got to like get up there and do it and have fun, which is what I do. That's weird. So Midlands Metal Mayhem YouTube channel. This is me thinking about doing a little bit of my own content, and maybe shouting out a few bands and shouting out a few releases, maybe saying a bit of stuff about gigs and whatever. And obviously there's festivals, so I will try and do another one for whoever our album of the week and band of the week is next week, so those will be chosen tomorrow. Hopefully you haven't been too kind of like put off by my rambling away here, not knowing what I was going to say. It's kind of a bit weird when you face into a camera and talk all the time, but not too bad. But I'll let you be the judge of that. So have a great rest of the day, have a great week. Shout out to the band of the week, Devastator. Shout out to Black Sabbath as always for starting it all. And next week, let's see who we're shouting out for. Take care, have a good day, stay safe, speak to you again soon.